Another big game in the SEC is number 6 Alabama on the road in Death Valley to take on number 10 LSU. The Tide are 13.5 point favorites Saturday night on ESPN at 6 p.m. Guys, this is a lot of points again for an Alabama team that has not been the most impressive unit this season. I feel like Vegas is leaning into the fact that they expect Bama to have that rat poison mentality. They've been disrespected in the rankings, even though they've got a loss. A lot of pundits are talking about maybe cracks in the foundation for Alabama, that this is the end of the dynasty. I don't know that LSU has the wide receivers to score in bunches to beat the Tide, but at the same time, we've started to see Jaden Daniels throw the ball and throw it well, which is just something that we honestly hadn't seen a lot from in his career. So even though LSU doesn't necessarily have the dudes out wide to be game breakers, I do believe that with Bama's issues in the secondary, LSU can keep it inside of, let's call it 14, right? So I've got LSU maybe losing by 7 to 10, and it still feels like a competitive game. Give me the Tigers plus the 13.5. I do think Bama wins, but that's a lot of points.
I'm with you, and I think this outcome in this game is fully going to depend on which LSU offense shows up. Now, for the past month or so, we've seen a very, very scary LSU offense with Jalen Daniels running the show, actually throwing the ball and throwing it really well to some talented receivers. And so, if that offense that played Florida and Ole Miss shows up, this plus 13.5 is free money to me. But Bama is really good, at least in the past, as making your lowest offensive output look like your norm against them. So if that LSU offense that showed up against Auburn, showed up against Florida State, showed up a couple other times this year, shows up, this could get really, really ugly quickly if Alabama has figured out some stuff on the defensive side of the ball. Now, that's another X factor to me too, because this does not look like an Alabama defense to me. This seems way below Nick Saban's standard this year. And, you can call out injuries, you can call it bad fits from the transfer portal, whatever you want to call it out. The bottom line is it just hasn't looked as elite as we're used to from Nick Saban's defense. So, all that put together, I think LSU is going to keep this one close. I think Bryce Young and the offense will do just enough against an LSU defense that hasn't been world beaters this year. They have a lot of athletes and talent, but it's going to be tough to keep those receivers in front of them and stop Jameer Gibbs. So give me Alabama to win the game, but I'll take another dog with LSU to cover.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go the other way from you guys on this one. Look, LSU's been really up and down this year. It seems like they're improving as a program the last couple weeks, but don't forget, we're not that far away from them just getting destroyed by Tennessee at their own place. I mean, I get it, it's Tennessee. That's what they're doing this year, but let's not pretend that didn't happen just a couple of games ago. So, you've got that. That's what it is. That's out of the way. I think Jalen Daniels or Jaden Daniels rather, his athleticism, it's going to negate some of the pass rush issues, I think. But I think the pass rush almost plays into Bama's favor here because if he extends plays, flushes from the pocket, you start to kind of shift the play to one side of the field, and I think that's going to be good as far as kind of alleviating some pressure on the secondary, making them cover less room. They can all kind of shift which way. And so I'm kind of thinking in this situation, the Bama secondary gets helped by the pass rush, forcing him out of the pocket and to extend some plays. Now, is he going to probably pick up a couple first downs with those legs that way? Yeah, probably. But I think if you're Bama, you're going to live with that. On the flip side, we've been talking about Bama maybe not being up to their standards typically. It's going to be a tall task for anyone to stop the Bama run game, specifically in this offense. And I think the play action is going to end up biting LSU a few times in this game. Bama's coming off one of their best performances 2 weeks ago against Mississippi State. They got a week to rest. I'm rolling with the Tide on this one. This one feels like Bama's going to get it right. Bama minus 13.5. This feels like a good spot for me.
I think Alabama's certainly in a spot where I think they need to make a statement more than LSU. I don't know that anybody's going to expect LSU, excuse me, LSU to win this game, right? And I don't know that anyone should. So LSU's kind of playing with house money. The pressure to me really does seem like it's on Alabama, and now maybe that kind of galvanizes Alabama to go out, defend that spread, to put a hurting on the Tigers, maybe that pressure's too much for them. And maybe that allows them to, or allows LSU, I should say, to creep into upset territory. They are at home. It's a night game. The environment's going to be wild. That's going to be can't miss TV on Saturday night.
Gracious hip. How